You on out there? All right, let's get this thing moving.
Morning. How's everybody doing today? Oh, what a fucking day. Who do we got out there this morning? I got Woody Triple Deuce out there. Good morning to you, to Triple C, Son of Crayon Slayer. All right. I think that's 3 of 5 people in there, and I'm not sure who the other couple are, but that's okay. And glad to see you guys are spending the day already kicking it off talking about toys. What a great way to start that day. Sorry. It really is. Hey, guys, I'm going to be right there. Come with me. I got to close this garage door. I'm working in the garage today. Burned through another can of primer. But got some stuff we're going to talk about today. Oh. Raise your hand if you guys watched this morning's video by It's Chad. It's Chad. Put out a good one today, guys, and it kind of definitely captured the vein of something that I made 3 attempts at making a video about last night and then realized, no, that's too much of a rant. Anybody happen to catch that? That's fine. If you didn't, I'm going to show you. It's a 15-minute video, and it's a beaut, boys. It really is, because it's been capturing exactly what I've been saying this whole time. So if you get a chance, check this one out. Okay. Chad's like me. Okay. And I'm telling you why I'm promoting this video, because you hear me talk about Punk, Aaron, 3-star. You don't hear me talking too much about Chad these days. But before I do that, I'll tell you, I'm going to just show you some stuff I'm working on today. It's going to be a faster video. I'll explain why later today. Got a little bit of fun things to show you. And I'm going to answer Bobby's question right off the bat. Do I have a mini paint booth or a collector when they overspray? Yeah, so this place where I live right now is a rental that my wife and kid had to get when we were posted in 2 separate cities in the military. The plan was that when we got back together, we would build a house, and I was going to have a hobby area in an outdoor shed with proper ventilation and a spray booth with the proper vacuum. Right now, I have none of that. I have open air spray only, and I don't have a mini booth. Even for my airbrush, it just wasn't working. There's not enough airflow in this house. And good morning to you guys. Cobra Prince Commander. Yeah, and that's what I'm running into is a lack of space, and it's really created kind of a turmoil around here. Listen, guys, not gonna bullshit. I'm having some domestic issues actually at home right now, and things are kind of up in the air for my home environment. So I'm not going to talk about that on a YouTube channel per se, but let's just say the reason you see me doing a lot of shooting in either the basement or the garage is because that's the only place the hobby allows. It's the only place that I feel unrestricted in the space, and unfortunately, that's got effects all across the board, right? I try to be a happy guy when I do my recordings, but when I'm at home, I'm really not happy with my environment, and I am getting some mental health for my anger issues, but it's become a bit of a problem at home. So when you see it starting to get bad around here, it's because you're seeing that I'm not putting out as many videos for the day. That's a combination of me trying to do more editing, so it takes longer, but it's also kind of not in the mood. It's just a rut. It's always temporary. I'm not backing out of YouTube, but it's what I'm finding now is some toxic stuff that's happening at home is aggravating toxic stuff that I see when I'm trying to relax and enjoy this hobby. And I see certain things coming out. Yeah, thanks, Tripsy. It's not that kind of a thing. Sorry, I'm just explaining kind of what's going on right now, because what you're seeing out of me right now is a reaction to a certain place on YouTube that I used to have a lot of good support for. And I refuse to say that clown's name anymore, because they just love having their name said. They don't really care what the context is. So I actually will liken them to a nice old show I grew up with called Fantasy Island, right? Ricardo Montalban. You guys love Ricardo Montalban. You loved him in Cannes. Trust me. You loved him in Cannes. Okay? I loved him in Cannes. But Ricardo Montalban and Tattoo, if you guys remember them, they were this 70s, 80s show. And it was in an era where everybody pretended everything could be solved so simply, but pretend like it was a big complex problem. So these people would show up on this fantasy island and they would it would open and they'd have that beautiful music and ba, 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 like Lauren Green's Wilderness or some crap from the 60s and 70s. And you'd take a seaplane into their island and then you'd see the little guy, little Tattoo. I don't have anything to represent him, but little Tattoo would run up the bell tower and he'd grab the rope and he'd be like, boss, deplane, and he'd ring the bell, right? And little Ricardo would look out the window and smile because he knew he was about to prove that Fantasy Island was the only place where people could have their problems solved and get all this stuff, right? And it was always these transparent issues, and then it ended with Ricardo Montalban pulling some obvious insight and selling it like it was gold, right? Oh, you guys haven't connected because you haven't learned to let it go, right? And oh my God, we didn't let it go. Oh my God, I love you. Oh my God, thank you, Fantasy Island man. You're welcome. Right? And there was always these shitty insights, like just ridiculous. So I liken that to this show that everybody's talking about, that Chad talked about today, because that's really that's the game they play. They give the most obvious and easy stuff to do, and then they forecast the rest. And when you throw enough darts at a dartboard, you're eventually going to hit a 20 and maybe a bullseye. And then but this channel with that, like that alone, makes them the greatest dart thrower in the world. And so they celebrate these things like they were the only place in the world that ever said that. And they take ownership over being right the way a child takes ownership over the toy in a cereal box against their sister. Like, this is mine. There's no way we can share. Right? And it's absolutely ridiculous. All right, back to the chat to welcome Lawrence. Hi, Lawrence. Yeah. I'm doing that video because I used to watch this channel when I first got into YouTube. And this channel was a father and son duo in Canada. And I really respected that. And I'm going to purposely just only talk about the dad. Okay? Because I don't want some transparently formulaic media personality guy who really just has spent 20 years learning how to play with words, to talk to people and paint a picture myopically. The kid has nothing to do with anything anybody's upset about. The kid is just unfortunately linked into the crossfire through the channel. And ultimately I feel bad because I have a son and I know my son wants to see me succeed, right? My son wants to see me succeed. He wants me to see me do well, and he wants me to enjoy my hobbies. And the hobbies that I share with him, he wants to enjoy those with me. And I really embraced that channel because that's what I was seeing at the time, brand new. We're talking last summer when I first started buying Joe, right? No, I put that up there, but again, the point was going. Nothing any of us that are talking about when we're saying, hey, this is why we're upset with this channel. None of us will bring that particular little entity into it, except to say, hey, it's kind of unfair that, if we have an issue with the channel, all of a sudden this guy's name comes up as some sort of shield that we're attacking and we're not. But you've got 20 years of media manipulation under your belt. You know the perfect way to word it. Unfortunately, the perfect way to word it is just like everything else in the media and transparent and vapid as fuck. Pardon me for swearing right off the bat, but it's just ridiculous. Hey guys, 3-star is not available today. Neither is Aaron. But they are listening to us today. Okay. But they're out and about, they've got things they got to do. And it was unfortunate, but that was okay. Yeah. And I know, that was not what I meant by just kind of doing that. And yeah, it's no worries at all. I'm sorry if you thought I was taking it the wrong way. I wasn't trying to. So the thing that bothered me about all of that was just that I was enjoying the show for almost 6, 7 months because I would be painting or working on something. I would be listening to it, and he would be telling me things I actually didn't know because I was so new to the hobby, right? And I was starting to, through them, learn kind of how Hasbro does releases and digital renders and the stages. I learned when these new streams are that Hasbro does where they talk about all this new stuff. It was really educational. It served a great purpose because I was new to the channels. I was new to YouTube entirely, and I was new to G.I. Joe Classified. And they were the first thing that pops up. Now, if you watch It's Chat, he explains why they are so big, so quick that they're flexing and saying 20K in this long. Well, yeah, that they utilized a few strategies that had nothing to do with actually them as a channel. They were utilizing a property such as a movie and making it a link available to people so people would go on and subscribe so they could use that stuff. It had nothing to do with their personality, their ethics, or any of the other stuff that we're bringing up. So yeah, when I was new, I saw a place for it. And I thought it was actually really nice to see a father-son show up and enjoy the product together. I still, to this day, think that's one thing they do right. Unfortunately, it's sullied because now when I look at the face, I'm like, yeah, so you're celebrating, but it's, I'm worried how you're manipulating this. Always now, right? At every video lately, there's at least between 2 to 5 minutes of calling down the other YouTube content and stating this community over that community. And I'm bewildered where you think there's two communities. The toy community is a toy community. See, the problem I have with Ricardo Montalban on his Fantasy Island show currently is that he is stuck in the past. He is still viewing his show as a TV show. And I've laughed and said this many times, guys, we're the new cable. Everybody's on here. But it's evolved and he hasn't. You are not competing for subscribers, you ass clown. You aren't. Okay? But what you are doing is taking other content creators' stuff and utilizing it as your own and paying no due credit to them. And then calling them losers if they complain or if they accuse you. If they caught you, they're losers. You are spreading a complete lie about the monetization involved, that incentive that comes after a long time of experience making content on YouTube. Maybe people want more and maybe you could monetize. It's not given away. You need to have a lot under your belt before that table is even slid in front of you to eat at. Okay, buds? And you know that, Ricardo. You know that. But you spread lies. Why? Why so insecure with your channel? Why does it bother you so much to give credit to other people? And then you see what happens when you don't give credit to the other people that you take things from and you act like the high school bully. It's what it is. This is the rich high school bully that we all grew up with. Do you know who my father is? Do you know who I am? No, real people know who I am. Real people watch what I do. Anyone else, they're not real people, right? They're losers. They're rich like me. They're making money, right? We haven't made a dime, you clown. But you want to spread that toxic lie and then insist on your viewers that this community should be divided. And what you don't realize is half those viewers are watching you on mute because they're waiting for you to get to another digital pick or a name drop or something that you said your show was going to be about, right? And yeah, all right, trash picker chair. I have not seen you in the chat before, but yes, hair plugs, just another victim.
I couldn't find the ball cap for him, and I just wanted to hear us, right? But he's the villain we love to talk about, isn't he? But yeah, this is the feedback I'm giving because quite honestly, it's infantile. And of course I'm going to give him some free advertisement right now because he doesn't know the difference between good attention and bad attention. He's too vain to understand that half the people that are watching his videos and circulating it are doing it right now to show, look at the ego on this guy. The others are right. You can say there's a divide in this community. There's not, because dickhead here does not realize people will watch videos whenever they want. They will go through a library, watch old videos, new videos, whatnot. It doesn't work like cable television. You're not competing for a specific time slot. And it's the same community. Doesn't matter which channel you're watching, you're going to see the same people watching. It's people interested in the toy, not your mad flex ego. So get over yourself. Stop taking things from other content creators, calling them losers and spreading lies about them. Go back to being the Joe fan you say you are. Go back to having some relevance besides your own head. And people will go back to not talking about you in this light. But remember, it's like Chad said, you don't want nothing, don't start nothing. And you totally started this. This is a monster of your own creation, Ricardo. And no one's talking about your family at all. All right? But what a strategy you have to use them as a defense, eh? Anyways, that's enough talking about him. That's okay. Yeah, so thanks, Trash. I appreciate that you chimed in today. That will keep me grounded. There was only one last thing I was gonna say, and that was my son will do anything he can in his power to seek out justice if he feels like somebody he loves is slighted. Okay? And I will never fault him for that. And I would expect other adults to understand the immaturity involved in a child trying to protect those he loves. All right? So, just to connect the dots, remember, while we did deal with a certain YouTuber called Toy Crustacean, I don't believe that was the main body behind Viper Island. That was a very immature account that had shown up that day, created all this ruckus about things. The more I look back at it, the more I see a possibility of a son trying to seek vengeance for some perceived slight against his father, and do right by his dad. And I think it was misguided. And I think even if the father had found out, he would have told him, I don't approve of that. All right. There are things I like about that show and I like about those people, but they're being really overshadowed right now by this sense of individual grandeur that they have. So I'm going to end it with that and move on to the chat and show you guys one of the things I picked up the other day. And I got to quickly just slap it all together. Well, I'll give it to you. Have you guys seen that? This is the Buzz Lightyear buggy truck there. I'm in the process of doing some conversion to it. Did anybody else pick this up for scale by any chance? Because it's it was one of those things where you would have to go to the store with a Joe figure on the bar and then open your Joe and see, could I compress them? And what I found is some work in here and some don't, right? A guy like Roadblock won't work in here. A girl like CoverGirl and whatnot, the ones with the most articulation seem to. And some of my smaller bodied conversions definitely work in here. So this I got for $5 used at the thrift shop, and it's got a lot of really great detail in it. Like it's got an articulated handle steering wheel, if you can see that. Sorry, turn towards the camera. Like that's all articulated and everything like that. This glass I've just covered with tape so I can paint and get everything done, and then I'll have retainable glass. And I had this opening in here where if I wanted to, I could add a second thing for like a cupola. I'm thinking about adding a cupola up here because the front of this truck really looks like our modern military haulers, right? So I was really happy with that. There's a few things I want to do with it, but it's not going to be some glorious war vehicle. I'm looking at like a little supply runner, right? For the background again. Background vehicles, not much work to them, right? You want the space station, eh? Do they have a big one? Their tech looks convincingly well done for what their figures look like. The Buzz Lightyear figures don't look like much to me as far as potential, but anything techy on them kind of look all right. I imagine a place that might be all right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It makes a good little mechanic truck or an ammo runner and things like that. And the other thing I liked is when you get it new, it has like this little claw arm. Now, because I bought mine at a thrift shop, it was missing a claw arm. But even new now, these are sitting at places like Winners, Giant Tiger, or Marshalls for about $12 Canadian. So that's like $6-8 American, right? But yeah, you get a little claw arm you could remove, and this drum opens up for it to put things inside, right? And what that reminds me of is when we were overseas, we inside our fob, every now and then we'd have to contract Afghan nationals to come and run a shitter truck through our camp to clean out the porta-johns, right? And it was a contracted service, but they were all locals working it. And so this would remind me of the gray water that they would cycle back in to pressure wash them, right? But I was like, oh my God, I think I could make a G.I. Joe shitter truck. And Chad, if you see this video, man, I'm not actually going to do it, but does that not remind you of things you would see around Bagram or Kandahar around the shitter trucks? Like, I even see these things around Massingar, for God's sakes, like this size little buggy vehicle. And the only reason I'm asking if Chad is in the chat is because I did tell Chad, like, his video really inspired me to go off today a little bit, but I had to curb it because I absolutely agree. The thing about Army guys is we are used to working with a lot of people that we don't got a choice with. Like, we have to work with them, and we don't get to choose these guys sometimes until we're leaders and we get to kind of pick guys into our section. You don't get a choice of who you work with. And when you have a guy with a massive head on his shoulders that needs to be credited and patted on the back all the time, they are an effort leech in your section. They are morale leech to the entire unit because it's that they're never stopping with the vocal need to be recognized. That was my idea. I had it first. No, every morning we do PT. Yeah, but I'm the one that said we should do jumping jacks as a warm-up. Yeah, we do warm-ups. Nobody cares. I know, but jumping jacks are the best. Okay, man. All right, yep. Thank you for suggesting jumping jacks today. Like that for every little detail. Or worse yet, the blade. The blade is the guy that stabs you in the back in this section so they can get just a little further ahead. Maybe they'll tell a flat-out lie about you just to elevate themselves. We call those guys a blade because they stick their knife right in your back. And then when you turn and face them, they're like, I didn't know where that knife was. Right? I am so innocent. We are used to these people. We are used to seeing them in there, and we have strategies within the military to deal with them. But when we're outside of the military and we see it, we know our rules don't apply. You can't just sort someone out by pulling them aside going, look, you got to sort yourself out. Here's the criteria. You are not meeting them. This is the job. We're YouTube content creators. Nobody's handing you a sheet like that. All right. But when two military guys are calling out the exact same stuff, it's not because we're military. It's because we can see how toxic and dysfunctional that actually is. Anyways, so that's why I wanted him, hoping he would be checking it out. So we got Aaron tuning in, just listening. He's running around like crazy. Yeah, normal routine. He's gonna go back and listen later. And like I said, guys, Saturday morning GI Crow, that's just kind of my regular thing. When the backyard battlefield guys are on there, it's just that much better. But they have families they have to deal with on Saturdays and stuff they got to get done because they're working through the weekday and I'm not, right? So never a problem. But I wish I could do running around with them. I get bored sometimes being here, and my God, the idea of taking a trip to the States becomes more and more enticing with every new day, every new problem, right? So who knows? Maybe Crow does go to Montana to live after all this. All right. And yeah, so want to see another thing? Seeing as Aaron's only listening right now, this will drive him nuts. Hey, I have not been able to find a Fang helicopter to do a good conversion with at all in my area. So that whole project Dare that Aaron has, thankfully sits on the back burner while I've been chipping away at Cobra Crimson Commander's backdrop stuff. I've got the character torn apart, and I'm just trying to find the right bits and pieces, work out some ad math with it right now as far as how that character will work. But it's good I'm not working on a Fang. However, I did ask Aaron to work on some devilfish, and that is the ripe opportunity that presented itself to me. So I have a couple of things. I'm going to do some boats. I'm going to build some boats. Boats and boats and boats and boats. And Aaron, if you got your devilfish done, great. And I'm going to tell you, that Fortnite boat was a good friggin' choice. And getting some 3D printed parts from a buddy to fix that friggin' engine on it, good choice. What's up, Grievance? Oh no. Okay, well, whoopsie. Wrong button indeed. That's right, Woody. Yeah, I was going to say hi to Grievance, and then I'm not sure what happened. Took myself right out of StreamYard for a minute there. But yeah, no, I didn't manage to get the Fortnite boat. I couldn't find that new or used out here. Legend Series is here. Hey, buddy. What's going on, Tony? No, I found something really cool. I found two things that are really cool. I got to get the lower part of this. These were more discounts, but I don't know which company this was. This wasn't, I don't think, Fisher Price. This was one of the old, reliable 80s companies, but an old Coast Guard cutter boat that I can do some cutting and adding to it. And I sized it, and it is actually the perfect scale for a devilfish type boat. So clearly I'll never make the actual devilfish, but I plan on working this cabin to scale it better. Having crew there, crew here, and crew here. I think that'll make a good conversion. But that wasn't the one that got me excited. That one I got for like, what? $6, I think, at the thrift store. This was the one for my Night Force. I had to. I absolutely had to. It's a Fisher Price Rescue Heroes friggin' attack boat. But I was like, this screams Night Force, because what's going on with my Night Force right now is I had so much fun building other wolf spiders and whatnot that I've switched over to focusing on some more divers and things like that. So I totally have a need for a patrol boat of some sort. So those were the background vehicles for today. And then the other one I'm trying to get done for the weekend now is because I'm sick of looking at it. Is I'm trying to make my Dreadnought Rux bucket bike because I like this bike. That's Cold Slither playing in the background. Right? And the light hypnotizes Joe's? No? But yeah, I'm going to finish that up this weekend too. So, Cobra Crimson Commander. Man, I've been watching your stuff. What am I, Prince now? Hey, I respect Symbol. God rest his symbol. I've been watching a lot of Cobra Crimson Commander right now, and finally I figured it out. I was like, he's got a lot of premieres set, and that I saw in the chat you explained. It's really noisy where you are, and you only film on Fridays. And I thought, thank God you explained that, because I was like, why is he? It seemed like you were binge filming, and now I understand it. So that was really informative. Yeah. Pancakes. Can't even make this shit up. Pancakes. And if you think you could take Prince in a basketball game, go ask him. Ask him. right? The Charlie Murphy True Hollywood Story about Prince. If you've never seen that on the Chappelle Show, that is comedy gold. There's 2 Charlie Murphy Hollywood stories that I think every comedy fan should see, and it's the one where he plays basketball against Prince, and his whole thing about Rick James. You gotta see those, man. And we were huge fans of it in Recce Squadron when we were overseas. So, it was nothing to be giving orders or whatnot. And I remember my buddy doing it to my crew commander. We were getting patrol orders to go out. We were going out for a week to go do some tasks on these areas that we had to prove these routes and make sure that they weren't smuggling routes. And right as soon as orders are done, Rick looked at us and he's like, "All right, questions." And my buddy Tony didn't miss a beat. He's like, "What 5 fingers say to the face?" And he's like, "What?" And he turned around and he slapped my buddy Leo so fast. And it was all from this. And we were constantly doing that, right? Yeah, no, it's not a matter of not knowing what to look for so much, Woody. I appreciate that. It's just a lot of the toy stores out here, they're not carrying some of the stuff you guys see more available at places like a Target or an Ollie's or a Ross or what have you. Like we do have Walmart and things like that, but the release systems are different, and some of the companies don't come out across that northern boundary we call a border. And I like to put my real cash into my real classified, and anything that I'm gonna mess around with, paint and deconstruct and rebuild, I want to buy it thrift. This helicopter that Bobby Wold and I have both identified, I've seen them all over for years at thrift stores, and I never bought one because I was like, I'm not there yet. And as soon as somebody asked me to build a Fang, I have not seen one. So I'm just going to be patient. I'll find it when I find it. But yeah, Fisher Price toys, so the thing I find about Fisher Price toys is while they have a general shape and it is a little bulbous, it still works on a lot of our scale. But to manipulate a Fisher Price plastic, because it's the type of impact resistant plastic meant and designed for children, rough play outside, drop off a climber, things like that, it's a very painful plastic to manipulate. I don't prefer Fisher Price. The only reason I was working off of Fisher Price here is because the first thing I realized is I don't have to cut into it or Dremel it as much, so I can work with it. It's all going to be ads at best, very little takeaway. But I've looked at things like Fisher Price buses, tow trucks, flatbed rigs, things like that, and I'd be like, nope, just getting a door onto that is a brutal exercise of futility. I'd rather look at other things. So a helicopter, in order to make it look like a Fang, I'd have to remove canopies, and then you have that structural integrity issue that I have to deal with too, right? So hiding supports and things like that. Toys that are designed for kids, maybe 8 through 12, 7 through 12, tend to use a thinner plastic that we can manipulate a little bit easier and hide things in, I find. So, all right. So we've gone over from talking about Fantasy Island, Ricardo Montalban, to conversions that are on the table, to waffles. All right. I go with the flow. Like I showed you, and Loki and a lot of you had already done it, that switching over that shield for Shockwave. I also made a new character because I kind of want to build up a lot of the urban force of mine. So I got a used Shockwave in there, and I managed to put a wrestler's head on there, but I kind of like this feel for Shockwave, but he doesn't carry a shield. Like, I want to have different kit on him. I just like that. I want a uniformity with this a little bit. So we got that on the go. But you guys want to see some Vala figs? I'll do a pretty little review on them at some point, but they're not anything I take too seriously. Vala, I know it's a good figure. I've heard. I know that there's controversy. I don't care. It's a toy. I think it's kind of funny sometimes, just the stories I hear between, the whole Vala, no, Joe, no, Vala, no, Joe is like that. I don't care. I'm doing both. What's it matter? So I have on it right now. I got that Snake Eyes Baroness head. I took the glasses off it, and I thought this looked like a more like an Israeli IDF kind of look to her. But this is a Valaverse an operative figure, and I'll pop that head off right there. But that's how I shelf it because I wanted somebody who feels like a Gal Gadot kind of operative, and I think she mixed in well with my divers and the urban kind of stuff and the breachers, right? So fits in good with that truck, fits in good with that boat, fits in good with a few things because it's a more small and demure figure. But now I'll rip her head off. Satisfying. And I'll show you what she looked like when I originally pulled her out of the box of figs that I bought off the gentleman. And the weapon she actually comes with is a Valaverse minigun with a Uzi. Like, this isn't a high catch kit. Oh, I guess Woody's got a big day at IKEA. Yeah, it's like, what is it? Old school? Big day. Can do some IKEA, maybe hit some Ronuts. Big day, big day. Good luck, Woody. Have a great day. Oh, there we go. So yeah, they come with a different assortment of weapons. And on the other character I got with it, I think the guy accidentally put the wrong weapon with it. It's the right color, right shape, but it's not quite the weapon that I saw was supposed to come with it. But I'm not picky about it. Like I said, I don't collect Valaverse. This was just say I had a couple, put something different in the collection. So we have two different heads that can go on this. We have the, I think this one is an Asian female. Oh, dear God, that did not go on gracefully, and I thought I just broke it, but I didn't. We'll just pop that on. I should be putting some hot air onto that or hot water, but good enough. So we have the, I think it's a blue-eyed Asian female. They've got olive-shaped eyes on there, almond shape. So there's, it's hard to see with the detail like that. Not too close to the camera. So there's the one head. And of course, the other one is just like with the classified troop builds, you have a different ethnicity that's available, right? So I thought that was pretty cool. And then the other one was the Valaverse, I guess, version of a Steel Corps trooper. Yeah, is that what we would refer to it? I'm just gonna pop it. It only came with the one head, one helmet, and I was like, oh, I wish when they did theirs, they had it like they took the risk of running a different female head to go with it because I just don't like having anonymous soldiers all over the battlefield. Not knowing with these new characters, like I like the personality of the face sculpts better than I like this, and I can't really get this helmet on back on right well without heating it up right now. It's a very stiff fit, but this thing. But what I did notice I do like about the Valaverse, and this goes back to 3D printed parts, like with what Loki provides. I'm going to keep that head off. Is unlike with Classified, Valaverse incorporated that pin sync system onto a flexi material. Now, I'm not going to pop it off because ideally I should heat it a little bit to make it softer, and it'll just come right off like a Band-Aid. But like this, it's stiff and cold right now, and I wouldn't want to crack it. But this is how I knew I got the wrong weapon with it, because it came with, I looked online, it's supposed to come with 3 silver mags, and it had the 2 in the vest. No problems. I had the knife. It had the holster and the weird way to hold it on the gun. But the gun that it came with, where did that just go? I just set that right here. He had includes this one, which is like a Steyr or some version or some Euro. I can't remember the type of weapon this is off the top of my head, of course, because I'm filming. And then the underslung grenade launcher. But it's not the weapon that was supposed to. She was supposed to get a 10, more like a carbine. But I now have every Scarlet except the Recon or the Retro Scarlet, and I thought, I wanted something to go with my Duke and Airborne idea of a new little paragroup. So I just decided that I don't like the helmet for that. So one of my Scarlets will be that way with it, and that's where I'm doing with my Steel Corps. But I would buy more of these, but they're just too much of a hassle to get out here, right? I think Valaverse are great looking figures. They're their own thing for sure. I think that they blend great with the Joe's on the Shelf, and and they all complement each other very well, and I like that. I really do, but I find it really hard to get the Action Force figures in a market that seems to really favor Hasbro's domination of it. So that's a damn shame. Uh, oh, they're sold out, are they? Well, yeah. I mean, like, so that this guy was the same guy that hooked me up with Roadblock, right? Um, and he also hooked me up with an extra fig I'm sending out to Loki and one I'm sending out to Aaron. He wasn't a collector. He was a very imaginative and creative photographer, and he was just in a spot where he's like, I've got way too much here. I need to thin some of this out. It wasn't a matter of trying to make the most out of it. He was just being practical. He's like, I know if I ask somebody that's bought from me before if they're interested and they sell it, then at least I sold it and I got the price I asked. And he knew he probably could have gotten more for it, but he asked a very fair price, and he allowed for me to pay it over a couple of weeks so I could continue my other obligations. And now all those obligations are summed up, and that's great. But yeah, I didn't know that they were hard to find, these ones. I thought that because they were I could find them so quickly online, I thought that perhaps they were more available than they are. Did I lose a mag for that one? I must have dropped a mag at some point. Anyways, while I search for a little black magazine that fell was showing, I'll get caught up in the chat. Yeah, I thought it was a Scar. Yeah, a Scar with an underslung like grenade launcher. Like, I don't know all the grenade launcher designations. I know M203, and that's about all now. My memory has been pushing stuff out. So, they have no bad guy leader. Is that right? They don't have a. Oh, there's the mag. They don't have a villain. I thought they had some villains. Maybe I'm getting that confused with the old 80s Action Force lore or something. But I thought a lot of their villains. Yeah, no, I'm definitely getting that confused. Interesting. Maybe Bobby Vallo wants the Crow to design a villain. That'd be nice. Yeah. Anyways, so I really didn't have that much else to share, guys. The Kingpin thing. I'm really playing with with who I want as a headman. I do want the suited businessman. I want a different look, but the same feel. But I don't want that blonde-haired ponytail hat with my headman. But I don't want a Kingpin either. It's just too on the nose, right? But I wanted that suit, and I do like those suits. This one I think is going to get a paint job, unlike the other one that I did for Pliskin. Yeah, let's talk about Pliskin. I asked Bobby who the villain is. He said there wasn't one. You asked him that, eh? Oh, then that's great. I would love to sit down and ask Bobby a couple of questions, anyways, out of good faith. I think Bobby would be easier to talk to than, say, the Hasbro design team. As a smaller content creator who just genuinely wants to talk about toys, my problem is I have a real bad problem when somebody's ego is in the way of identifying where an answer is needed. And I don't know if that's Bobby. I'm told that sometimes that is Bobby and sometimes it's not. And I give everybody the same shot, like whatever. I can hear anything until I see it. It's not relevant, right? But I think I would definitely love to hear where his creative process is with what they're doing for character creation, because we hear what Lenny's and them are, and it's all tied up in the past Joe line, whereas with Valiverse, they have an open market they can play with, right? The idea of creating new characters really is, it's if you have that passion, then you get excited at any opportunity where you see someone doing the same. And those are the kind of conversations I'd want to do with him, is be like, just where are your creative processes when you come up with a character, share, because I find it interesting to hear that stuff. And a lot of my subscribers know I am interested in that stuff. I'm terrible for getting to responses in time, in a timely fashion, but I do try to respond. But it is also part of the reason I needed to explain to you guys, just there's stuff going on at home right now. Hey, Hyperdelic, thanks for coming by. Welcome to the channel. I don't know if maybe I saw you last week. I don't know, but I appreciate you being here. But guys, 45 minutes, I think, is all I've got in me today. It's really, it's a difficult week this week, and I'm going to be focusing on a lot of different areas. But I mean, I wouldn't lie to you and tell you that Crow's always gone, right? But you're worth the smile. You bring a smile to my face. I like sharing time with you guys. I love talking toys. I hate the person I become when I'm antagonized. And unfortunately, I became antagonized over the potential harm that I saw coming out of somebody on YouTube. Okay, I've addressed it. I'm trying to let it go. I've got other things I've got to put my utmost focus into more immediately at home. But at the same time, I don't want my channel to be about this. I don't want it to be about complaining. I don't want it to be about, oh, woe is me. But at the same time, I don't want my friends, and I call this community friends. And believe me, there's only one toy community. Okay, it's different type of contributors to it, but one toy community. I don't want them thinking that I'm just going to go shit on everybody every time. Because it's fun. It's not. I found that very harmful for us new channels. I really did. That the lie about the monetization when you have an audience that is being spread is nothing more than a very toxic and very harmful lie to all of us. Not just the content creators that are trying to get started, but to the subscribers, because that's manipulation. There's a whole bunch of people that would just accept that, say, oh, okay, well, that's true. Oh, I accept that. Well, thank God they told me. Now I won't bother looking, right? And they did that because of a lie. And that's dirty pool, man. That's above and beyond unethical, okay? So I wanted to make sure that I stress that enough. Nobody you are watching with subscribers under 5 or 1,000 or 500 are monetized, and even if they have 500 to 1,000, they might still not be monetized, and that is not a thing, okay? That is automatically offered just because you started a channel. Most of the guys here that have channels can tell you that, right? But somebody in a position who takes his viewership for granted and thinks it's very much a comment of his character and not of the content is running away at the mouth and spreading a lie about us, and I'm just not taking it anymore, okay? So that's what this video was. It's how it started. Unfortunately, it's how it's ended, because I'm in a terrible mood, and, he gave me the perfect outlet to kind of vent a little bit on that, right? But I don't want to give it more power than it's worth. Like I said in another video, not my clown, not my circus, all right? But I care about the people in the audience. I sure as fuck do. All right, guys. I'm going to get to work on more Punisher and Wolverine stuff in these vehicles and try and get my life in order. Have a better day, and I guarantee you, this is probably the bitterest video you'll see of me, and I won't follow it up with more. But yeah, guys, never worry. Like I said, I'm good at bouncing back when I'm feeling down. I just didn't want to pretend like I wasn't feeling down, but I owed you guys a lot because I wasn't quick enough to realize maybe it wasn't a good day. All right, but thank you so much for coming by, sharing some time with me, talking some Joes, and guys, I'll see you next time. Take care.